everyone, welcome back to the class. In this video, we are going to look at 3 more queries in your database project. Let's take a look at the first one. So the first one is question 3 in your database project. In this question, we are trying to create a query and a report that shows the quantity sold of each product. The report should show product ID, product name, and the total number being sold. So the total number being sold means the summary of the purchase quantity for a product. For example, if you have a hat that you sold for 2 in order line 1, and you sold 10 hats for in order line 2, then in total, the total number being sold for the hat is actually going to be 12. So this is what we are trying to do in this query. So let's create it in Access. So click Create, Query Design. And the first thing we need to do is we need to add the tables that we need for this question, right? So the tables we need for this question is going to be product and order line. And because these 2 tables are already connected with each other, we don't need to add any additional tables to build the connection. So now we can choose the attributes for this query. So product ID, product name, and purchase quantity. So now if you click Run, this will show you the individual records of your order line table with their product ID, product name, and also the purchase quantity. But this doesn't answer our question because we are trying to see the overall, the total purchase quantity for each product, right? So for your hat, you should be showing 12 instead of like 2 and 10 separately. So how can we do that? Let's go back to your design view. So in your design view, there is a default function of Access that can do aggregated level calculation, which is the totals. So if you click totals, and you will see that an additional row has been generated that allows you to choose the different elements of this function. So we are going to run a summary of the purchase quantity for this query. That's why we are going to choose sum for the purchase quantity. And we are going to group the records based on the product ID and product name. So basically we are saying if the product name is hat, let's group them together and calculate the total purchase quantity, calculate the sum of the purchase quantity. So basically this is what this function means in here. So if you click Run now, you will see that this query is fulfilling our requirement. So it shows the product ID, product name, and also the overall amount that is being purchased. So one thing that you will notice is that the column name right now doesn't match what we want in the question. We can actually change the column name as well. So if you go back to your design view, we can actually type in the column name that we want for this column under the field, in the field. So we can type in total number being sold and a colon to separate the 2. So basically before the colon is your new column name, and after the colon is the actual attributes you're using for the calculation for this query. So let's click Run. Now you will see that the numbers didn't change in here, so the calculation is still correct, but we were able to actually change the column name in here to the one that was asked in the question. So basically now we are all done with this question, and we can actually save this query and create a report. So we can click Save and name this as question 3, and then create a report. And again, name this one as question 3 as well. So now we are all done with question 3. So let's take a look at question 4. So for question 4, we're going to create a query and a report that shows the amount that should be refunded to each return. The report should show return ID, product name, listing price, discount percentage, return quantity, and refund amount. So in here, we can see that we have return ID, return quantity in the return table. We have the product name in the product table. We also have the listing price in the product table. We have the discount percentage, return quantity. We have the discount percentage in the coupon. But one thing is missing is the refund amount. So this one doesn't exist in our class diagram. It doesn't exist in our database. So this is a new column that we are going to create in this query. And in order to identify the value in this column, we are going to use a formula to calculate the refund amount. So what is refund amount? So basically, refund amount is the amount of money you have paid for this purchase, right? So let's say if you bought a hat in this order line, and if you're trying to return a hat, and when you were buying this hat, the listing price was $20, and the discount percentage was 10, then the actual amount you paid in total is actually 20 multiplied by 1 minus 10 over 100, which is 20 multiplied by 0.9, which is $18, right? So your refund amount in here should be $18. So in here, what we will do is that we are going to type this formula in Access so that it can conduct this calculation. So let's see how we can do that. So let's create a query. And first we will need to identify the tables that we need, right? So for the highlighted tables in light orange, these are the tables that we have identified based on the requirement. So we will need product, coupon, and also return. Now you see that these three tables are actually not connected. So in order to build a connection, we need additional tables in here. So we need the order and order line table to connect all three tables together. So let's choose order and order line as well. Let's move around our table so that it will be in a better presentation. And now we can add the attributes that we need for this question. Return ID, product name, listing price, discount percentage, return quantity. And for the refund amount, we are going to create a new field for that. But before we create that new field, let's take a look at what we have so far. So what we have so far are the returns with their product name, listing price, and discount percentage, and also the return quantity. So now we can go back to the design view. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a new column and calculate the refund amount for each of the records in this query. So what we do is that we can create a new column by typing in the column name first. So the column name is going to be refund amount. And then we can type in a colon to separate the formula from the column name. So our formula will be listing price. Now you see that when I type in an attribute that we are trying to use, I use the middle bracket. And one thing that is super important is that your attribute name should be exactly the same as your attribute name in the table. In here, I'm showing you a wrong example because the listing price should be capital L and capital P, but I'm writing a capital L but a lower key P. So let's click enter and see what will happen. So if you click run, interesting, maybe the lower key doesn't matter. So let's try another one. If you remove the P and then click run, now you will see that the system will ask you to enter a parameter because it cannot identify which parameter you're referring to because you didn't type in the attribute name correct. So we can type the correct attribute name to avoid this type of error. So let's finish the rest. So we're going to use listing price multiplies by 1 minus discount percentage. Again, as you can see, when I'm referring to an attribute in this database, I need to use the middle bracket to identify that this word means an attribute from the database, and divide it by 100 multiplies by the return quantity. Okay, and let's click run. So now you will see that we have successfully identified the refund amount for each of the return. So if you want to double check and see if your calculation is correct, we can do that. So basically, listing price is 25, and we are returning 1, and the discount percentage is 20. So 25 multiplies by 80%, that will be 20. That is correct. Or if you look at return 94, you have listing price, which is 5, discount percentage is 40. So the amount we actually paid for it is 5 multiplies by 60%, which is $3. So we have created the correct formula. One thing that you may notice that is interesting in this query is that our return ID is from 1 to 4, not 1 to 3. And if you open your return table, same thing happens. The reason that we don't see record 3 is, if you remember from the table, from the video where we created the table, I accidentally created a record that is not correct, so I deleted it. And if you remember, for the return ID, we actually used auto number. So whenever you generate a new row, the auto number will be +1. Because we created that wrong entry in here, that's why it goes from 1 to 3. The 3 is the one that we deleted, and 4 is the one we are seeing right now. Just in case, if you're curious about why we are seeing 1 to 4, not 1 to 3 in here, that's why I want to explain this to you. Okay, let's go back to query 1. So so basically, we are all set for this question, and we can save this query. So we can click save, and this is going to be question 4. Okay, and we are going to create a report for it as well. Question 4, click OK. Okay, last one. So last one is the 5th question. This is, I would say, the most complicated query question in the entire database project. So let's tackle it together. Now, number 5 is saying that create a query in the report to show all orders with a shipping address in New York State, so that you can know how every business is doing in New York. This report should show the order ID, username, and total profit for each order. At least 5 records must show in this report. In here, of course, with the examples I have, I won't have 5 records. For your own database project, please make sure that you have 5 records for this query. So let's look at this question step by step. So the first thing is that we need the order ID, username, and total profit for each order. So we don't really have a total profit for each order, so we know this is a new column that we need to create. And based on the requirement order ID and username, we know that we need the customer table and also the order table. So let's start with this part first. So let's tackle the first part of this question, is to find all the orders with a shipping address in New York State. So what we will do is that we can click show table, create query design, and click show table, and we are going to choose customer and order. Sorry, it's midnight right now. Sometimes my brain is not functioning very well. And we are going to choose username and order ID. So we choose order ID and also username. So if you run this, this is going to generate all the orders along with their username, right? But we have a selection criterion here, which is the shipping address, because we only want to look at how well we're doing in New York. So another hidden criteria or hidden attribute that we will need to use is the shipping address. So we will choose shipping address and type in the criteria we want. If you simply type in New York and then run this query, you will see that it's only identifying the records that with only new NY in it. But if you look at our other table, for other one, this is actually with a shipping address in New York as well, but it has like a longer shipping address. The reason that we don't see this one in this query is because when you directly type in NY in here, it's doing an exact match. So it can only identify the records with an exact NY in that attribute. So what we actually want is to let Access know that we want to find out all the records with NY in it. So we can type in like and quotation mark and star NY star quotation mark. So it's saying that if NY is contained in this shipping address, then we will keep this record. So now if you click run, this pulls up all the orders that are shipped to New York. So now we are done with this part. So finding out all the orders with the shipping address in New York. So we're all set for this one. Hold on. So now we oh, by the way, another thing we forget to do is because in our requirement we are not showing the shipping address, so we should actually hide the shipping address. So we will uncheck the show and then run. So the next one is, now we can look at calculating the total profit of each order. So the total profit of each order should be the amount that somebody paid for the product minus the manufacturing cost for a product, right? And multiplies by the purchase quantity. So basically the formula could be listing price multiplies by 1 minus discount percentage over 100. So basically this is the actual payment for a product minus the manufacturing cost. And then this will be the profit for each individual product. And the purchase quantity is how much you sold for this product. And together this will tell you the total profit. So now we can add this formula into Access. But before we do that, you will realize that right now in our query design, we don't have all these attributes that we need yet. So we need to find where these attributes are in and then include those tables as well. So we are going to include the coupon table, the order line table, and the product table as well.